You heard this reporting that there was a medical notice in his garbage can that had been destroyed, and the quote is unfit for work. First things that went through your mind?
Well, obviously there are different things that could make somebody unfit for work. You think about physical things first, somebody unable to carry out the duties of their job. That doesn't appear to be the case here. Nothing that was physically preventing him from doing his job. So you do wonder, was it a more chronic illness, or was there some sort of mental illness? You'd have to sort of wonder about those things, certainly. But also what the specific, I want to know how long that period of time was that they were saying he was unfit for work. Was this a day type thing because he was supposed to be getting some testing or something, or was it something more long term? So, these are some new details, Ashley, but still so many questions you'd want to answer before trying to sort that out.
Could a medical doctor, I'm only looking at these photographs of a man who seems extraordinarily healthy, running marathons, I think all within the last 6 to 8 months as well of this horror. Would a medical doctor be able to determine something in a sick note that would indicate there is a mental instability?
Well, sometimes, when I write notes, for example, for people who you're going to have off of work for a period of time, oftentimes you write the reason why. It may not be a specific diagnosis. It may be some of the testing that's involved or some of the specific reasons as to why the person cannot conduct those duties. Sometimes I'll say that they can go back to a certain level of work, but not other types of work, and there can be clues in there as well. The notice, which oftentimes is the duty of the employee to give to their employer, saying I'm not going to be at work during this period of time, often is more vague. But a lot of times there's a medical note, for the patient themselves, which has more of the details, the diagnosis, the treatment, potential medications, etc.
Did the doctor know he was a pilot?
Right.
If he did know he was a pilot, what is the duty of the doctor to tell the airline? But in any event, none of this excludes his responsibility of self-reporting.
Well, we certainly already know the kind of criminal mind we're dealing with, of someone who would dare to commit this kind of mass murder suicide. Sanjay, did you want to weigh in last moment?
Well, I was just going to say that it's a good chance the doctor knew he was a pilot, and that's part of probably how he or she, the doctor, determined that this man was unfit for duty. You have to know what the duty is that you're talking about. And also, Richard, you made a good point earlier. I think if this was a physician typically that worked with the airline, way that often works, if you're acting on behalf of an organization, you get some waivers ahead of time. The patients allow you to release information. So you can't release the information without the patient allowing that to happen, but oftentimes that's the agreement. They're going to allow you to release information back to the person who's the organization that's employing him.